Booyaka Shell, welcome back to another episode. It's your boy G Swizz, joined by the Dolos here, but we are not just by ourselves. We're here with the GOAT, our boy Geeter. You are the GOAT. You are the GOAT. MC of the, used to be the MC of the AVP, the best to ever do it. Now, the voice of the Lakers. Geeter, thanks so much for having us on, man. Thanks for hopping on.
Obviously, just
if you want to hold it,
you hold it. Is this
I'll
okay?
hold
We're
it.
gonna get
I'll hold
this
it. I'm gonna go like.
By the way, honor to be on this podcast. We had to wait for you.
Honors us.
We weren't doing it.
I was coming through
without you.
For this one, I was coming through for sure.
And our mutual good friend Vicky Dennis, she and I were talking about you guys, and I was telling her how much I loved all the stuff you were doing.
Right.
And she's like, "Those are my guys." So that's how it all came about. Because I'm like, I want to be on. I want to be a guest. Let me roll it out.
And we just
manifest.
Exactly, manifest. Yeah. Do you believe in manifesting
yes,
things?
Dude, absolutely, man. Honestly, every job I've ever gotten, I swear, I saw it in my head. Like, how do I get it? What's the path I have to go on? And listen, it doesn't mean you're always going to get it, but absolutely, I believe in it, man. Put it out there.
That's so sick. We were just talking a little beforehand here, just about the volleyball community itself, and the amount of history and knowledge that you have. How long have you been in this area? Are you born and raised in here?
Born and raised in SoCal.
Okay.
I'm 50.
Don't look like it. Don't play like it.
Yeah,
don't play like it either.
Don't play like it. Solstice, hold on, Solstice champ.
Hey!
Finally won a format, man. Finally won a format. So I grew up in a little place called the Valley. Went to Cal State Northridge, Harvard of the West Coast.
Hey!
All my homies who like to heckle Northridge, I'm like, dude, sorry you didn't get in, bro. So, and then I moved out to Santa Monica, and then eventually the South Bay, and I've been here for the last 20 years. So my kids are, born and raised here. But yeah, you know what's weird? I've never lived anywhere else. Which is also, like, there's something in me that is a little bit of
yearning.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how it was in
I'm
Hawaii.
jealous of, because listen, we all played men's volley.
Right.
Which, by the way, I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world. But my initial path was hoops. So I probably would have had to go somewhere to play a smaller college hoops. And, but that was probably, so I'm always like, God, I hope my kids go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See the other side.
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah. Just to kind of know, you always want to know where home
It's
is.
valuable, for sure.
Isn't that how it is in Hawaii, too?
Yeah, my parents wanted me to leave for sure.
Yeah.
When I had an opportunity.
That's always an interesting thing because, my era, Mikey Lambert, Sean Scott, Lee LeGrand, Steino, the list goes on of some phenomenal players. It was interesting Sean Scott stayed, but the rest, Steino, UCLA, right? So it was interesting how I think for you guys who were on the island the whole time, chance to come to the mainland, right?
It was pushed by my parents. I would have stayed easily.
Yeah.
I would have stayed.
Even the Crab Brothers, right?
Never
Kibbins,
left.
Try, they all
left. I think when you get an opportunity, I think, at least for my parents, they're saying, like, you can always come back home. You don't get this opportunity too often, so take it, go learn.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the easiest route. The easiest is stay home.
But you must love going home.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best, right?
Oh, big time. Big time. And I never get to go home anymore. Yeah. We're on the road so much.
Yeah. That's so
We're on
true.
the road so much. So.
That's so true.
Yeah, so you probably appreciate it
a ton,
lot when you...
ton. It almost doesn't feel like... There's a disconnect, though, that you never had before. Like you go home and you're like, dang, this is what this place looks like? It's been so long.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that's a little sad at times.
Did it hurt? Yeah, did that hurt?
At times, you're just like, man, this place I used to know so well, it doesn't feel like...
Like, will you guys eventually go back to NorCal? Or is it a thing where it'll only be like, go back to San?
I don't know.
We usually just go back to visit.
Yeah.
We travel all, like...
Plus you have this vandalism.
This summer...
I'm not going
You live
all over the country, dude.
This summer, we really like San Diego.
San Diego.
Really like San Diego.
My brother's down... So my mom and dad moved to San Diego when I went to college.
Right.
So they lived down there the whole time. Now it's just my mom. My dad passed 5 years ago. My brother lives down there. He went to San Diego State. He never came home. So I have a lot of, love for San Diego. Our only vacations in my life growing up, we took a camper from the Valley to San Diego, and we just surf along the, we camp.
That's awesome.
So in my mind, I thought San Diego was
trip.
10 hours away. It's 2.
Yeah, it feels
But
like
that's what we could do, right? We
vacation,
camper. So I have a lot of love, dude. A lot of love for San Diego. I know I'm drawn to it. I feel like one day at Del Mar, Solana Beach area, Cardiff, man, I love those areas.
We were talking about maybe next summer. I don't even know. We were saying maybe like Oceanside or something like that.
Dude, the brothers are gonna put some roots down. That's what my mom did.
Maybe.
Oceanside.
Could. I don't know. We're kind of nomads though.
Yeah.
The tour, us, like being home is like cool, but I live for the tour.
So both single, right?
Yes.
So you guys can really do whatever you want. My guy
yes.
cannot do whatever he wants.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, I got kids, I got a dog. You guys already met the dog, Zeffy. My wife's so like, but man, you guys can seriously, you can put it down wherever you want. And you know what? We're out here.
That's so Nashville. True. We talked about Nashville.
Why is that place so on fire? Everyone says
awesome.
it's so good.
It's so awesome.
I can't believe I've never been to Nashville. I've been all over this country.
Yeah. Nashville is like, it's like we're the right age as well, you know, for it. Because a lot of time it's like.
You guys are the right age.
Yeah, we were just in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and we were just walking along the boardwalk. It's like 16-year-olds. I'm like, I love it here, but I could not live here. It's like
Nashville's, and I'll tell you why. You guys can start a whole new business because that is the bachelorette capital of the world. I mean, all of a sudden we're doing clinics. We're doing all kinds of things for the bachelorette party.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I'm thinking about a montage.
The Worsley boy was called Party Bus. The Party Bus.
You know what's funny is I've actually been to Nashville and I've been to Tennessee, but I've never raged there, so I feel like I haven't been there. But I haven't been to downtown.
Do you try and rage everywhere you go? I haven't been there. I haven't blacked out.
I've been interviewed.
I don't really know the area because I just wander around.
Dude, I've been interviewed around this world so many times. No one's ever asked me that question. That was a top 3 question.
One of the Oos Boogs, baby.
Dude, that is so good. That should be my new thing. Like, if you haven't raged in that city, you don't know.
If you remember it, you haven't been there, bro.
Dude, I don't know if you've been there. That's good. That's good.
But I wanted to get back on. We talked about it before. Solstice champion. Huge shout out. When we travel, like we were just talking about, we travel a lot. We go on the road. People ask us about the 4-man. The videos we do. We talk about it a lot.
It's so fun.
How would you describe to somebody from the outside the 4-man community down here in the South Bay?
So everybody knows the 6-man game, indoor, men, women, and everyone's probably heard of the Manhattan 6-man just because of its history. But what's even, I'm not going to say it's bigger because the 6-man, as we always say, is the granddaddy. It's the Super Bowl of everything. The 4-man community is huge because that's what everyone plays because I can play it at 50.
Yeah.
Right? Like my role used to be a setter, which is a B. So it's an A, B, C, D.
Right.
Everyone knows this probably that listens to your podcast, right? Like the A's your hitter, the B is your setter, the C is kind of your libero type, and then the D is your homie. Yeah. It could be a guy or a girl.
The D shows up and you don't know
what you're meant for a leader. If your D is decent, you got a shot to win the tournament. It's pretty amazing. And they play line D. Let's go. But so the 4-man community is so big here because everyone plays it every weekend. And then come summertime, there's major tournaments, right? It starts off at the Memorial at 16th Street for Greg Akatubby, the brother of the great Scott Akatubby. And then there's the Solstice, which is the one we all love, the 21st Homies here in Hermosa Beach. I mean, there's the 4th of July, there's the Oosh, there's the, the Sea Right that's been around for 60 years, the Berry Bob that's been around for over 30 years, Labor Day, which is kind of the one.
Huge.
Now, Labor Day.
Tell them about Labor Day.
So Labor Day, I don't know how you guys would feel. We used to call it the majors, right? Solstice a major, Barry Bob and Sea Right were majors, and Labor Day, of course. Now, Memorial and 4th of July, they all want to be majors too, so that's up for debate. I don't play in those as much, so I'll stay away from that debate. The Labor Day would have to be the Super Bowl because of the money involved.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't, so it's called a Calcutta. So there's 32 teams, A, B, C, D, all men. It's all one gender. So
do they have a girls version of it?
You know what? A Memorial.
They do.
They do the next day. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The next day they do. I'm sorry. So
Bikini.
And it's a 2-day tournament. Yes, it's a 2-day tournament, and it's 32 teams, A, B, C, D, and it takes a few hours to start because in the morning you auction off all the teams.
Right. Yeah,
so you have syndicates, right? Like say the 3 of us are a team and we are pooling our money, we're bidding on teams, we're the owners of that team. So say we buy Gage's team for $2,000. We go to Gage, and we go to Gage's team, and we say, "Hey, we bought you guys for $2,000." By the way, there's Stu. There's my neighbor. He's a great guy.
What's up, Stewie? Welcome to the
We're
podcast.
doing a podcast, Stu.
Are you?
Yeah,
camera.
Stu's on. Yeah, get on camera.
Pop your head in. Pop your head
We
in.
gotta get this thing driving.
Yeah, nothing's ever live anymore, Stu. We're good.
You guys aren't mobile?
No, we're not mobile. Stu,
we will be
puts out
soon.
By the way,
We'll be
Stu puts
soon.
out a huge barbecue out here. That's the greatest thing ever. It goes across the whole street.
Stu, you got to pop your head and look at the camera.
Stu is
Up.
yeah. Stu and his wife Louise have 4 kids. They live right here. They're honestly the greatest neighbors you could ever have.
Yeah, we'll be cooking on oak.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot
cooking on oak is
Yeah.
what we say.
Yeah.
Stu and I'll be cooking on wine. You guys
How
are
do you like
invited.
your burger?
You're always
Right
invited.
on.
You're always invited. So that's Stu,
so
everybody.
sick.
Back to you guys.
Yeah. So I would go to we would go to Gage's team and we'd say, we bought you guys for $2,000. You guys come up with half the money, so you own half the team. So 4 people, that'd be $250 a guy because you're responsible for $1,000.
Right.
Now some people go, dude, I don't just have the money, and you got to deal with that. You figure it out. It's okay. The pot got up to over 90,000 the last few years.
Holy!
Now the winner gets, I believe it's half. That's like $45K. So that goes to the owners, and if you all bought in, you're getting half. We're getting half. And it's cash money. It's the most.
Wait, so they're
incredible.
literally like counting the cash is there?
Yes,
Do they have
it's in
security?
a bowl, dude. It's amazing.
Oh my God!
Oh, dude,
In a bowl.
Dude, it's
bowl?
like in the championship bowl,
Dude,
dude.
higher
They're
security?
throwing the money in the bowl.
Do they have
I'm hitting that
There's gotta
ball, and
be-
I'm
nowadays, dude. there's
90
not-
grand,
Now,
bro.
nowadays, gotta be security. But it's been so epic. And then, by the way, so the money game is what's important, right? That's the semis and the finals. You're getting something if you're in the semis. I've lost twice in the quarters. Yeah,
That's
and
tough.
it's always tough because there's just that little extra something on the line. It's tough to lose the Sixer. It's tough when you lose in Solstice, right?
Yeah,
But there's something about losing in Labor Day that just feels it hits a
They're
little
so
bit
close
money's
to
on the line.
And
Being
by the
able
way,
to have
like,
a good time.
dude, and this is what might be hard for people to understand. You could be a D without any volleyball experience and
Yes.
get on a team that
You
wins,
can win
and you're making
big
money.
in a tournament with
Yeah.
very like mediocre skill.
For all the homies that don't play a lot of volley, like maybe you golf, like you know how you play skins with your friends and there's money on the line. Even it could be a little bit of money, and you're putting it hits you different, right? Like, and you're like, how does a guy stand over $1 million?
Yeah.
But, right.
Right.
Like, that's it with volley. Like when there's money on the line, it's pretty cool. So Labor Day, I would put as the Super Bowl. I would put the 6-man just as maybe like the thing because I think that's just all of our community that believes that because of the party atmosphere, because people come from all over for it, and it's such like I don't know, it's more of like a badge of you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I've won
yeah.
the Sixer,
Yeah.
right? Like you guys are going to do at some point. Right?
At some
This year.
point, maybe
It's coming.
hopefully.
Lion Stalls, it's coming.
Lions
You're at
Stalls
that
on-
age where my team Fletch finally won. 1995 was our first.
But who's counting?
Who's counting? five later. Who's counting? And by the way, and I got 2 Masters.
Really?
So in 2017 was my first
7.
year playing 40 and over and Fletch, and I would run over and hang with the 2-6 Del Mar homies. Speaking of San Diego,
Right.
Judd Bushrow, that whole crew, Al Jans from Oakley, that whole crew. They have a squad, and I played for them and won double gold. Double gold.
is sick.
Double gold was fun.
That's crazy.
Double gold is
Yes.
gnarly.
Which-
Could
you know
you
what's
make
funny
it to
about
all
this-
those games?
Dude, I was
Or you skipped
well.
out?
What's funny is day 1, the focus was on Fletch.
Yeah.
And I'd run over and play a little bit 2-6.
Yeah.
Day 2 was like as Fletch got rolling, it was hard. So, dude, I was going
Yeah.
back and forth. It was crazy.
That's
crazy.
good fun.
You remember my role as Fletch has always been bullhorn with Presh.
Yeah.
Speeches. Like back in the day, I played a lot more. I'd set some games, but now it's like play very little. That was my role with Fletch at the end. It was just more like, so I was playing for 2-6, so I would run over, play.
Right. That's where you get your touches.
Yeah. So, my role with Fletch for years has always been, it's funny, man. It's just been like whatever rule, you
Kind of the OG.
I was like, so organize.
Yeah.
And
Get
then,
down to the court.
dude, it's
You're the
funny.
OG. You're the OG.
You know what's funny, guys? So, the 6-man, the Manhattan 6-man, is the greatest party of all time for you viewers who've never heard of it.
Yeah.
And there's phenomenal parties, but it used to be Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And there would be 100 teams involved. Now there's 28, 30, right? And Saturday was just pandemonium. Everybody was there, men, women, the Masters, and people started, like, once YouTube hit, it became a top 10 party destination, like E! Entertainment put
In
it
the
up there.
nation.
Then it became a little too much, and I think that's when the city struck it down, and this is more 2009 or 10. But the 6-man's been going on for over 50 years, right? 60 years, and it's been, everyone dresses up, and you play real 6-man volleyball. But what was so cool about it was day 2 is Sunday, and now it's Saturday. Day 2 kind of just felt like just the volleyball community, because all those people who would come in from
they'd be
wherever,
gone.
they're gone.
Yeah.
So it's just the best teams, and I think what people were drawn to is the volleyball was electric. With you get the best players in the world playing all dressed up.
Yeah.
In a 6-man style game, and for the people that don't know 6-man, there's digs, there's the levels.
It's so
Ridiculous.
different. It's so different.
The level's ridiculous. So that's what was so cool. And on Sunday, back then, only 16 teams made day 2, and that first match was an elimination match.
Okay.
So it was or it might have been I think it went to 32 teams. So the first match was elimination match. Then you get to 16 and you go double elim. So the first match was the death match is what we called it, and it was at 9 a.m. And everyone would come to that beach just completely faced from the night before, hungover. You couldn't find guys. I have a legitimate accolade for me is I am 6-0 in that game because I knew at Fletch for a bunch of years I would be the guy to set that.
Yeah.
There were guys. They will remain nameless. Matty O, my boy, Matty Younger. He was never ready. But he would take the mantle and lead us all the time. But I always knew that I had to be. Dude, I showed up in jeans one time, but I would be ready. I would be ready to go because that was my moment. So, and you can't lose that first game back then because you're out. And what would happen was all of a sudden you'd be like, dude, what 12th Street's in 10-10, and your game, everyone would run over. So you would just see. Yeah. So it had a real old school feel of.
What were the top, say, 5 teams back then? There's 100 teams.
Yeah, always like. I'm gonna put Fletch first always because that's what I have to do, as you guys would too. 12th Street is still rocking and rolling. And won it last year because they've re-upped and they got and they're the homies. Like
last year they came out of nowhere.
12th Street is they're local. Bunch of Costa Redondo guys that grew up together. 12th Street, Fletch, Good Stuff was one of the original OG teams. I would say Good
on the
Stuff.
Down though. I hear. Is that true?
Well, no, because all their sons are now rising and playing, and they're back.
That's true.
Yeah. So back. The team that we all would fight with, but we loved them as friends, but was Magnum. And they would dress up like
Magnum.
Smash.
Oh my
like
gosh, those guys are nuts.
Are you talking about condoms?
That's where Stein Ventura.
No, Magnum is in the TV
like Magnum
character.
condoms?
No,
oh,
TV
Magnum
character,
PI.
Magnum PI.
I was like, wow, even with condoms out there.
Magnum condoms.
Dude, Brett Rosenmeyer and Stein played on that team.
The original Magnum. So those were the Dave McKenzie, who you guys might not, whose sister is Joy Furbringer, brother-in-law Matt Furbringer, one of the great 6-man. The debate is always who's the greatest 6-man player of all time.
And?
It's always between Dave McKenzie and his brother-in-law Matt Furbringer. Like people will say Lambeau had it for a short window, but Lambeau didn't do it like Furby did it from age 20 to 45. He won the 6 or 4. He's got like 6 titles. So like, and Dave McKenzie's
but you
got
7.
about 4.
You got 7 though.
Yeah.
But who's counting?
You're counting my masters. so like those teams, like and then like you guys wouldn't know them, but they're all probably 38 to 40. You'd probably know, but Aaron Wachfogel's group, they're now Rage All Night. They were El Gringo for years.
El Gringo.
Yeah, they won it. Okay. So like those were all.
Are they done down there?
It's done down there, dude.
That's wild.
That was my spot.
Yeah, that's wild.
So yeah, that's the 6-man evolved over years, and it would be like anything else, recruiting guys.
Hey, do you guys pay? Do you guys ever pay?
I'd love that you asked me that. The core never pays. You don't pay for a guy to play on your team.
There's a team that does so.
There is a team.
There's a
pays.
team. A certain insect team out there.
8 legs.
8 legs. A lot of eyes.
Listen, man.
A lot of money. What do you think about that?
What do you?
Yeah, what do you think?
What
You're
the community think about that?
What are you paying, dude?
No, but what does the community think about money being brought into the 6-man?
It makes in Magnum. Los Muchachos was a team that was awesome for a few years, and there's always rumors that my boy Jazzy would pay some people. There's always a rumor Good Stuff paid George Romaine. There was always the Spiders paying.
George Romaine.
I love it because it gives you something to absolutely heckle.
Yeah,
that's true. Fuel the fire, baby.
You're paying for your friends. Why don't you go join the SIG apps down at UCLA frat row? You know what I mean? Like just so that part, like you're not the core. It's great to heckle it. Deep down, I don't care. Yeah. But like, we're not doing that, dude. That's not
couple
soul.
Drinks in you and everything.
That's not soul.
Yeah, that's not.
6-man's about your soul.
Yeah.
It's about your soul. You either have it in there, like the 6-man gets you, and we always said it's New Year's Eve, it's the 4th of July, it's Christmas all in one, dude. For us, that's what the 6-man was for all these years.
And I heard insane stories. People said people running down like from the police station and stuff.
Guys,
just like people passed out. Like
I know, like the older generation, you always want to build up what was, because in your mind it was the greatest thing ever. It was the most fun, right? And you guys will see that in your lifetime, right? Like when you were a kid, what was the best thing, right? So the 6-man, but the truth about the 6-man was it was such a tradition, and the culture of it was so rad that like On Friday, you were lined up with your posse because they would just open the, and you had to be a homie to get like front row. Once they opened the little velvet rope, everyone's running down for their real estate, because back then you had to set up your tents on Friday at 3 o'clock, and it was mass hysteria, people sprinting down. And as that grew and the culture of that grew, all of a sudden you'd see people laying on their beach towels out by Lifeguard 9, and all of a sudden they'd pop up. People were doing
the old sneaky.
Like, we got smart, just like you guys. If you're in, you get wise. How do we
bury me in the sand? Get me down here.
How do you beat the system? It's the same in 1999. We're figuring out how to beat the system just like you are in 2022. Like, oh, I'm gonna have the homie lay the towel down and just pop up, because like early years 6-man, it was about like, I believe it was about being on the wall, and then it changed.
What's the wall?
So you
The
know,
wall,
like
the
the strand side wall, right over, like near Shellback.
Yes.
And then
they put the 6-man. I never even looked.
Then it became about Oceanside. You wanted to be Oceanside, so you can run to the water, and it was 12th Street, Fletch, good stuff. You couldn't get into that row, dude, unless you were you had to be something. We're kicking you out. Like, you became a if you were a made man or you were a winner, you were on it, and you're like, dude, you'd see Barney setting up, and you'd be like, dude, you're out. Like, you're not setting up here.
Any fights happen?
No, but that's a good question. That's what I think started to end it as we knew it, because it started because people were coming from all over that you didn't know, and people are drinking. And
I heard that.
So it became about, there was a great 10-year window where it became about your tent. And how can you decorate your tent? DJs, disco balls, like, dude, we did the Forum Club because we were the Lakers, we were Fletch.
Wow.
For those of you that don't know what Fletch is, it's the 1985 classic, Chevy Chase, Fletch, Laker uniform wig. That's what we all loved that movie growing up. That's why we became Fletch. Okay, there's a scene where he dreams and he plays for the Lakers. That's how we started Fletch. It was our favorite movie growing up.
The inside scoop.
So like,
this is sick.
Yeah, so we, you start to like.
Do you know the stories about other like good stuff?
Yes.
Well, why
so,
is it
dude,
good stuff?
Stuff were the first guys to dress up. They started wearing primitive print, long shorts, robes.
They do
all of a
rock
sudden,
the robe,
now all of a sudden, 1990, 12er shows up. Young guys in high school, all the homies, CB, Brian Ivey, Eric Fernand, David Swadek, Brian Thurston, that whole crew, and they're wearing capes and beanies, and they still wear them 35 years later. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it started.
See, what we were talking about was like the rich history in the South Bay. It's like no other.
Yeah.
Like, the volleyball history here is so sick.
And honestly,
and the knowledge.
You bring a great up, but what's beauty about the 6-man was day one, you got to play against those people. Like, that's what all my people who didn't play a lot of volleyball loved, is you get to play against the pros and the best in the world on day one, and it's all cool. You're in pool play.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
exactly.
That was what was a really unique, cool thing about it. The best players in the world were playing in the 6-man.
Even the 4-man.
Dude, guys would miss AVPs to be in.
Yeah.
Because they had 24 tournaments a year back then.
Yeah.
They would miss Sacramento Open to be in the 6-man. Or they'd lose and come right back.
Yeah. Sacramento had an Open?
Oh, yeah. Lake Folsom.
Was it like a big thing?
Cheers to that. True story. Lake Folsom.
Lake Folsom.
By the way, shout out to these Moscow.
So, yeah, let everyone know what I did. Yeah, we did
this. Was everything homemade, freshly squeezed. This was
unbelievable. Freshly squeezed.
I've crushed a few right now.
I made Moscow mules for the fellows when they first came in.
They were awesome. They were.
So it became about Oceanside, and it became about what your tent was. Wow. We had the Forum Club, and we had like a bouncer one year. Because here's why: the golden hour. I'm sure you guys all know what the golden hour is. That's a 5 o'clock-ish, right? The 6 o'clock-ish, sun is dropping. It's the golden hour of the life, right? Like, it's when you're chilling on the beach with your homies, or you're on a boat somewhere, or you're in the islands. It's the spot, right? You're sitting back with a cocktail with your friends. The golden hour. The golden hour at the 6-man was the greatest thing, except the golden hour lasted 4 hours. And you would just rage in your tent with your peeps. 3-4 tents across, just raging, dancing. And then you would go straight to 12th Street or the Growing Wildflower Shop. Or you'd go to the pizza place right there. That's where the Del Mar homies would go. 2-6. They're another long-time standing team. And everyone had their spots. And you would go, and you would never change.
Yeah,
you wouldn't go home and shower. It was straight up at dark. And you would just, and then the next morning, who knows where you would be. Yeah. Got to get back to play because Geet's set in Fletch, 9 a.m.
Be there.
So it was all, the history here is just so sick. And Gage made a good point about how, like, the history here is not about, like, 1984 Olympics. Or Brazil versus China. Or it's just about, like, the 4-mans and the legend, the hometown legends, the hometown heroes. runs so deep here.
And like for those that follow the beach history of it all, right? Like the famous matches that I grew up on of Hav and Dodd playing St. John and Stokey, and then it was Jose and Adam Johnson versus Karch and Kent, and then just on and on and on. And that's when I started to announce, was right after that. And it's like, Hav and Dodd were legends, dude. They were so. And by the way, St. John and Stokey were North Bay. They were Santa Monica, and that was real rivalry. That's Celtics Lakers.
Still
stuff,
is.
Dude.
These guys are
yeah,
still
that's Lakers
talking
Celtics shit, dude. And you're
That
battling, right? It was like, people on it's your territory. So it was the Manhattan Open was everything back then.
What's your favorite match you've ever commentated?
Oh man, that's such
And who's the most entertaining player you've ever watched?
Hav was the most entertaining. I think everyone would.
How come?
The same reason he is now.
Yeah, it's the same reason when you go to 21st Street on a Monday or a Thursday at noon for fours. Like, he's screaming at you. He's ripping off his shirt. His dialogue is just unmatched. I just think he goes down as, like, he was a rock star. And he played up to it. Mm-hmm. And I believe that that's why he will go down as the most entertaining guy to ever play the game. I just believe that. I truly do. And Javi Dodd was... Dude, those were your, like,
Fire
those
and
are the
ice.
guys that would also, like, party with you. And, like, when I came on tour, like, they didn't need to like me or know me. And they took care of, like, my best friend Matt Unger, myself. Like, they brought me in early. Like, dude, I was 24, 25, hanging out. And they accept. That's why I've always, because of those guys, Brian Lewis, Scott Akatobi, Al Jensen, all the legends, Steve Timmons, like all those guys. Mike Whitmarsh, who's one of my best friends, he passed away in 2009. Like, he truly was a mentor to me. He passed away. It was probably one of the most crushing moments of all time. Karchi, all those guys, like, they accepted and helped me, made me better. So Jim Rico, the announcer, who kind of like totally took me in when I was coming in as an announcer. And he was the announcer. He and Sam Logano were the two guys, and they brought me in. And Jim was a mentor. Like, that's why I've always said, like, you got to pay that shit back, right? You got to pay it back because, that's what's going to keep building the sport. It was never about like, ooh, I'm the best or let's be the best. It's like, no, let the game now is. I was telling you guys, indoor game's never been better. It's because we're growing and we're getting better. And there's better people playing it, right? So it's,
But what do you think about that? So let's get in the AVP a little bit.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the AVP? So right now you can look at it two ways, right?
Yeah.
You see one way, you see people who are like old, like Phil Dahlhauser.
Yeah.
And
he's like Archie Phil
Exactly.
debates going on.
Like and stuff like that.
What's your opinion on
I
that?
called Phil's first ever win. Phil and Nick's first ever win, 2005, the week before I got married. 2005, the week before I got married in May in Austin, Texas, against Stein and Gibb, against Jake Gibb and Stein. And it was one of the greatest matches of all time. And like, Phil, I knew he'd be great. I remember Whitty telling me we've never seen anything like him because Whitty was at the end of his career. And Whitty and I would always bet before the tournament. Whitty was playing. We'd go up and we'd draft teams. And we'd bet $100 a tournament. And whoever win got the 100. We did this for years until he passed. Even when he retired, we'd call each other before, and I'd go, "What's the draw?" And we'd pick teams and draft. Dude, he was always like, "Dude, Phil's. We've never seen anything like him." Mm-hmm. He called it early on, dude, like 03, Phil, who hadn't even won yet. He's like, "We never seen anything like him." That's a great debate. I'll get to your AVP. So, okay, so we'll go to that first. Go AVP. So, two ways to look at it.
So there's two ways to look at it, right? So you have a lot of old guys winning, and then you're like, okay, is beach volleyball developing, right? Because you got in one hand, you got the people who are supposed to be, who said they were going to retire, like Phil, Casey, those guys. Still out there winning. And the other hand, you got, okay, does that mean that they're just the GOATs at the same time? What are your thoughts on? Is AVP, I want to talk about the players, then I want to talk about the organization after this.
Okay, so players-wise, every era is different. And I see it a lot working in the NBA. People are always comparing who's the GOAT, who's this. And I'm always like, it's tough to say there's one, right? Like, MJ's kind of like, for me, he's just always been the guy. But, like, Kareem was how I grew up on basketball. And it's amazing that he doesn't get in the conversation with 6 MVPs, 6 titles, and every record you can imagine from college all the way through the NBA. So, like, I always look at, okay, Kareem, MJ, and now the big debate is LeBron. Those three guys changed how the game was played, and they've kind of set a benchmark. I always put Kobe there. a tick under MJ because Kobe did stuff that nobody could ever do, but he was just a hair under MJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was, and then now Steph is in that conference. Steph's now getting into that top
Yes,
tier,
sir.
and for people to not put Steph up there and just now are starting to realize it, dude, that's just hate or like not knowing. Like, Steph has always been an all-time great. Mm-hmm. I'm just glad he finally got recognized from the people that didn't want to give it to him. Yeah. But if you don't think Steph's an all-time great, you're not. He's the best shooter of all time. So how is he not?
By
an all-time
a long
great?
shot.
Right. So how do you differentiate all the? There's my another lovely neighbor. We're doing a podcast.
Oh, sorry.
No, you guys. No, we're waving to all the neighbors. So
Evan's Jordan.
So like for me, like it's hard to. For me, I think the game is unbelievable. Like I love the men's and women's beach side of things. I just wish there was more money and more opportunities for these unbelievable athletes and volleyball players to play. I'll never forget being 27, 28 years old. And remember, I was a backup setter growing up. I started announcing at a young age. So now I'm a couple years in, 3 years in, I'm 27. And I'm, the 4-man tour used to be there. There used to be a 4-man tour for men and women.
That's so sick.
That went away. It was so sick. Dude, everyone made money and everyone raged. That went away. And I was watching great friends of mine at the time. So imagine you guys in a couple years watching all your friends retire and go get jobs, normal jobs.
Tough.
And I remember going, man, that's what sucks about volley is like there's not enough for a person to be a professional and to be able to like keep playing and to support themselves and train the right way. Imagine if that happened in hoops, baseball, football.
Yeah.
MJ had one title at 27, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, that always really bummed me out that our game really struggled for those late 20s, early 30s because people had to go get real jobs. So that has always frustrated me. In terms of how the level is, I just think it keeps getting better. I truly do. I truly think it has never been better. Now, was it more fun at certain eras? Were there more characters?
Yeah.
Sure, you can debate that all day. Like it was a different game, bigger court, longer games, side out scoring. You can talk about that ad nauseum, and the old school will always battle with the new school. I just got to be honest with you guys. Like I never really. For me, I just wanted to keep going. So I love it all. I see both sides of the argument. I'm always going to side with certain things, but like, you come to like the Phil Karch, hard for me to ever decide, right? Like both friends. I don't know, man. Like Phil would have won in any area, in any court. So would a Karch, man. I watched Karch win at 46 years old on a short court with his shoulder popped out. He won with Lambeau, beat Wong and Fenoy in Vegas at night. I called the match. Like the guy's shoulder popped out. He found a way, got crushed game 1. Lambeau started hitting on 2. They win in 3. The guy wins an open at 46 years old. So you tell me that's not GOAT-like? And he's got 2 golds indoor.
Yeah.
And was the first
That's
$1 million guy
insane.
overseas. So like I always go like, Karchy just maybe the overall volleyball GOAT, but Phil's right there because just Phil, dude.
Beach specific.
Phil was,
too.
Phil, man. Phil's. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy do it like just a 5. Like how they say, 5-tool guy in baseball. Like Phil does everything. He passes, he sets, he blocks, he hits, he serves.
How would he have done indoor, you think?
It's a great question.
And could Karch do what he did now? Could he go play in the indoor? Maybe it's libero.
Wow, that's good. Well, what's Taylor Sander? How tall's Taylor?
Yeah, same.
6'4".
I mean, what Taylor does, dude, on that Bic, and what he did, and Reed Purdy and those guys, the longevity they had.
That's true.
Dude, people,
That's
Reed's one of the indoor GOATs, right? I mean, Reed is,
for sure.
Dude, Reed is ridiculous, right? What Sanders been able to do, I gotta think Karchy would have too if he was in that era.
He's got the
right?
he's got
But
the
would he
heart.
have been able to play? No, I've heard.
Oh, would he have been able to play both? Was
Yes.
So totally different era. That's a
Yes.
great point by you guys. There were so many tournaments back then that you could play 5 to 6 to 8 AVPs and do your indoor national team stuff. You can't do that now.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
But Karch is a special. I think he's the most like Jordan. In
Yeah,
the sense of
for
like
sure.
mental fortitude.
Just exactly.
Yeah.
Indoor, like doing it all.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I always say, like, when you think of the GOATs and the all-time greats in their sport, when you watch their highlights, they hold up. I was watching Magic highlight the other day. It was a 2-minute and 30-second highlight of Magic passing. And we're the Laker Network, so we're always got that stuff going, right? And we were all at work talking. We have a big newsroom, and we're always like debating the best thing. I mean, it's every day. There's a list. There's a this. There's a who's better. Yeah. It's a fight every day in the newsroom. Well, everyone's a hooper. Everyone loves hoops. Everyone that works on our shows. So and Magic's highlights come up on Twitter, and someone like rolls out, and we're like, dude, watch this. And it's like we see it every year, but it's like someone will remind everyone.
The throw,
and you watch, and you're
stuff.
like, okay, that stands up 40 years later.
Yeah.
MJ's highlights stand up.
Bird
40
too. I
years
just saw
later.
one on
Bird,
Bird.
dude.
That was stupid. He was like, dude, you're telling me anyone back then was able to do this
So,
stuff?
like, if it stands the test of time, he belongs in the conversation, and he would have done it today, would have just done it differently.
Yeah.
He would have been shooting threes.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the same thing, like, we're very Kobe. We're like, you
Centric.
guys probably being NorCal guys, Steph is your guy.
Yeah.
Kobe's ours.
Right.
Drafted him like you drafted Steph. We watched the fall. We watched the rise. We watched everything, the failures. He was our guy. He gave us everything he had, just like Steph did. Every night, no matter what, he was playing injured. He was doing whatever he could to win games. And what's always interesting to me is that he, around the NBA world, he's by the way, of course they love him, but other fan bases now love him. But for a long time, vilified and
Yeah.
like this, oh, he's not this, he's not that. So he never got into that GOAT conversation with all the media members that discussed that never played anything. Every NBA guy I've ever talked to, every single NBA guy, past or present, and I've asked them all, they have Kobe as one of the GOATs.
Really?
So if a player has a guy, if players that
Yeah.
played the game for the last
Yeah,
40
yeah.
years have a guy up there,
Yeah.
doesn't he deserve to be up there?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, you guys played volley.
Yeah.
I played volley, been a long time since, but we're at least, we have a
can
say.
tell you. We can tell
We
you.
have a
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
right? Because
Right.
played at a high level, national champion, you two going to the national champion game. Like, no, you guys are legit, like, big time volleyball players, all Americans, all that stuff. Dude, that puts you in the table to talk. Right? Like,
Right.
you have a say in this thing, like what you think matters.
Well,
and
that's
that's
what
what's
I-
always interesting to me.
That's what we talked about this actually, like how we wanted to structure our podcast, and part of it was like, I was like, the cool thing about basketball is there's always a debate about something.
Every time.
In volleyball, we're not debating enough.
Why can't we debate?
We should debate
That's what I'm
way
saying.
more.
Best
I
defender.
debate-
Best
We need
defender.
to
Who's
just
the best-
say, we
who's
just
the
need to
best
come
setter
up
of
with
all
these
time? Who's the
top
best-
five.
top
Who's your
five?
starters? Who's
Top-
yours this? Who's your...
Dude.
But basketball does that so well, and I feel like we haven't done that enough.
Dude, we do it. That's
Because
the
everyone's
thing.
soft. Because this is what I've been saying.
By the way,
It's
I
because-
loved when you said everyone.
But who's your so I'll bring
I
so
love when he said everyone was soft.
so I'll
You like that too, Jim?
Whoever's talking the front, that's fine.
okay. You go for it.
I was just
You go
saying.
for it.
This is what I was saying.
But
Yeah.
I also want to ask, because that's part of like having him here. Top five, or your starting five basketball,
For volleyball team.
and for a volleyball team, who would you bring over to the volleyball?
Okay, that's what we used to do. Is who's our, like, Phil Dahlhauser and I. Phil loves hoops. Little known fact. So does Nick
okay.
Rosenna. So does Furby.
Yes.
Yeah. So we used to go, who's our starting six hoop volleyball guys?
Yes.
We had back in the day, it was like Nash and Curry setting. We
Okay.
had like Kobe and LeBron on
Yeah.
the right and KG in the middle. Like that was the
Right.
era we were playing, was like Kobe on the left.
Yeah.
So that's what you do with like today's NBA guys. Like, what's John Moran? Is he your outside that's just crazy? Or is he, who's dishing? Is it Chris Paul still, the older setter? Like, who's your,
Right.
you know what I mean? Who's
Yeah.
the middle? Is it Giannis? Giannis in the middle with Joel Embiid hitting quicks. Who's your oppo?
That's not bad. Giannis and
Who's your
Embiid in the middle.
oppo? Who's your oppo? Is it Jokic? Just the goodest thing.
Yeah,
you know,
just
you know what I mean? Or is
huge
Jokic
and just-
roofing balls in the middle?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's funny to say.
LeBron
Like,
on the oppo.
that's what I mean.
What about
LeBron's-
KD?
That's a KD. Dude, I don't. Hear me out.
KD would be an outside.
Okay, here's my
The platform
But
would be insane.
we all said that back in the day, because here was our thing. Like, as the outside hitters were getting bigger in 2010 and 9, when we were all having this argument, we're like, KD's that like 7-foot
He's
jump
got
shooter.
touch,
So
he's
you
got-
go, KD's the guy that comes out to volleyball at 6'9", 7 foot, that can pass.
Yeah.
And play left.
1,000,000%.
Right, yeah.
And
So-
LeBron's an opposite.
and LeBron's the oppo. Kobe can do it also. He's
Kobe's
your,
the-
like, Kobe's
your
your
O2.
Your O2.
He passes. You don't give him as much balls, but he's
So
just like
who do you guys
gnarly.
go as your setter? Are you going gnarly athlete type of guy, or are you
Steph
going
has
You
more
know
the
what?
genes.
You know what's crazy?
Steph
the
is
volleyball-
1,000% running a 6'2".
I know who my setter is for sure, and that's Larry Bird.
Is he fast enough? I'm just going to ask you that. That's what I'm saying.
Dude, Larry Bird, just the way he shoots, it's soft. He's got
He's
such
got the
a
touch.
soft
He's got the
touch.
touch.
And he's so creative. Like,
Larry
I watched
was
some
your
highlights of him.
1980s O2. Like Larry, because Larry could, like, he's just cagey. He's got every shot.
But he's big
But what
enough
about
to be
I
white
think
chocolate?
Magic.
What about white
Oh,
chocolate,
dude,
Jason
now
Williams?
you're getting weird, dude. That's good. That's good. You got
You
Gary.
throw some
You
weird
don't know.
stuff.
Dude,
You
you're
don't
at the
know.
Olympic tryouts. You got Gary Payton, you got Magic, you got Chris Paul,
Well, that's what,
you got
dude,
Steph Curry.
that
Everyone's
team,
battling.
So if you have to put one in each position. What do you got?
We only got one center.
Yep.
God.
You got
I'm
one.
going.
Harden's a lefty too. Don't forget about that. Good footwork.
Something in me won't do it though.
I don't blame you.
Something won't let me do it. All right, listen. Oh my God, Magic's gonna hate me, dude. Magic's my favorite all-time player of all time. Am I going Steph setting?
Do you know Magic pretty well?
Guys, the best thing ever was when he called me Geeter, and I didn't know he knew my name. Greatest thing ever. And I put on Instagram years ago when he was helped running the Lakers, he was on the sideline, and Mike Trudell during a preseason game interviewed Magic, and he's like, it's on my Instagram, and they did it's like a minute highlight video with music to it. My people at work did it. I put it on there, but he was like, "Oh, and tell Geeter I said what's up." Dude, it was the greatest. I mean, my phone. If you guys only knew, I had Magic pictures on my wall from when you shouldn't have them on your wall, in college. Yeah. I didn't have Pamela Anderson. I had Magic. Magic was on my wall from grade 5 on through
That's
college.
crazy.
So he was so the fact that he knows me, and I saw him at the Super Bowl. I was literally at the Super Bowl, and I saw him, and I knew how to get his attention. Because if you just say Magic, think about this. Everyone calls him Magic.
Irving?
So I reached around the window. I go, Irv!
Yeah.
Dude, he turned around. He's like, he comes over, and he wanted to talk about the Lakers, and I did not. This is a true story. I didn't care. I didn't want to talk about the Lakers. I want to talk about how good they were going to be, or what he thought, or they were going to get it together. He gave me the and I go, Magic. The Rams just won the Super Bowl. I go, they had what you had, winners.
Yeah.
He was like, and he loved it. And he came in, and then he poof, gone.
That's so sick.
Magic, dude.
But who just said
Steph!
that?
Who's coming off the bench, dude? Magic's still the greatest passer of all time. I'm gonna flip it. I'm going Magic as my starter. If we're running a 6-2, Steph comes in. Steph comes in. I got Nash as my third kind of alternate. He's waiting just because he's my guy. I love him. He was awesome. Steph, Magic. I got Kobe, and I got KD on the left.
Wow.
I got Kobe and KD on the left. Go.
What about Jokic's setter? Because he's got
Dude!
think about
And he roofs balls.
Exactly.
Big boy.
Dude, you're taking my point guard spot away, though. I feel like we got to give it to him.
Jokic, I don't think he moves
fair,
well
dude.
enough. I don't think
He doesn't move well enough.
Yeah.
He doesn't. But he's got some touch.
Guys, Giannis is in the middle. He's
Yeah.
doing weird things.
Giannis would be ridiculous.
Doing weird
He's
things
doing
in the
weird
middle.
things in the middle, dude. He's
The middle
roofing
spanker
Bob.
doing weird things.
He's doing so. And who's with him? Is it? Because I'm going LeBron on the right.
Is it Kareem
Dwight?
with a nasty
Oh, you want to go?
round hook?
Oh, we're going even. Oh.
Dwight.
Is it
If we open the
Bill
if we-
Russell, the
no.
defense?
dude, that's way.
I'm
if
going
we
Cap,
open-
dude. I'm going Kareem. I thought we. Yeah, I'm going. Come on, man. I'm going Kareem.
The skyhook.
Okay, Kareem.
I'm going Kareem, and I'm going Kareem and Giannis in the middle.
That's not bad.
And your
Libero. Who's our lib?
Steve.
Gary Payton.
That's where I go. I'm going Nash. That's where I go. Nash is my lib.
There we go.
That's where I
He's
put
got really good touch too.
Right. By the way, he can play volleyball. He was
That's
on our
right.
216 that one.
That's right.
Wait, what about Russell Westbrook?
Honey, bring ice. Sorry, some ice for my cocktail.
What about someone who's really quick? Who's known? Wait, what about De'Aaron Fox?
I mean, that's the thing, dude, now, listen, our list is going to change. John Morant's going to be
Yeah.
on the team.
Dude.
Devin Booker's going to be on the team. Luka's going to be doing something. But I'm still going with.
Yeah, there's so many great. Jordan's not an outside for you.
Well,
He's the GOAT.
he's the GOAT, dude.
Jordan's not an outside.
He's a winner.
Here's the deal.
He has the best player.
By the way, here's the deal. He's my Karch. KD, you're coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. MJ and Kobe are my
Yeah,
starters.
MJ Kobe. How
Suck
what
on that.
that culture would be gnarly.
That's what I'm in.
That's a
Oh!
that gym, that
would
practice
be,
gym.
People would be cowering in the corner.
That practice gym was not for the.
By the
weak.
way, we're going MJ, and I keep thinking of a newer school. You're right. I'm going MJ and I'm going Kobe because you can't lose.
Yeah.
You're never losing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Someone's
Imagine
gonna
you're
take
never
over the
losing
game.
a game, dude.
Someone's
you're never losing a game.
Yeah. Someone's gonna take over if needs to be.
You're never losing a game.
You got LeBron on the right for trash balls.
LeBron on the right.
Just strong, big.
Ooh.
Also very intelligent. Yeah.
Just sets up his block on his roofing, putting
Yeah.
the D away.
Yeah.
The physicality. Yeah.
Did you ask me my favorite match of all time? And
I did.
We did.
I did.
I never even answered that.
Your favorite match to
People listening are like, dude, what happened to that?
To MC.
You can
Or play by
It
play.
is crazy that Hovland still to this day is the most like entertaining play.
Well,
Like
they can't
we
do as
like we
much.
go down
like,
there
do you
and
guys
he's
have anybody like who do you guys think is that like who would we pick? I don't even know who's in the running.
Bad boy Troy.
in terms
I'm
of
just
what?
kidding.
In terms of
Love
what?
By the way, I love like Trevor's very entertaining now.
Trevor is.
I love
but
watching.
he plays a
I love
huge
watching
role.
Jake. Yeah, but they're not.
Nowhere near.
Nowhere
'Cause
near.
No, but Trevor plays a huge role in volleyball right now.
Love Trevor.
He plays such
Dude,
a
by
big
the way,
role.
huge fan of that. All those guys, man. I
Yeah.
think they're awesome for
Yeah.
the game. I think they're great. You know what? I would have to say my two best moments: Manhattan Open. There was a 35-minute delay on NBC because of NASCAR. Had a crash, and we were coming on live after NASCAR, and I went down in the sand, and I went down there for 35 minutes, and had the place going for 35 minutes.
What'd you do?
Dude, I did it all. I don't even like. I just remember, like,
You're just getting a flow.
Which year
but
was
it was a moment for me. I want to say 04, 05. We were. It was a peak year, and I think it was 05. It was 05. Because USC football was there. Leinert and those guys were there. And I got
No way.
Yeah. USC,
Reggie?
Reggie, they were all there.
Wow.
That's how I remember. It was 05.
That's
And
Wow,
and
they
I
won
went
that
down
year,
for
right?
30,
05
yes, they won. They
against
were on our.
Texas.
Dude, I had them doing the way. It was unbelievable. Leinert and I are still friends now, but we didn't know each other then.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'll say that was my moment where I think in the eyes of bosses and NBC and Leonard, who owned the tour Armada, like that was the day, because you have days on TV too where they say you make your bones. That was the day where I think
Got it.
something put me maybe in a position to be like, okay, that's the guy.
Right.
You know, and I'd been on the tour for a long time at that point, but I delivered on that stage, and then
Yeah.
that final was awesome. But I think Beijing Olympics, Carrie and Misty in the rain against China.
I remember watching that game.
Yeah, and
Me
I did,
too.
And I did Phil and Todd the next day.
They won too, no?
Yeah.
I comboed it. Do you want to know story? Do we have time for a story about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what's cool about that. Here's why I put Beijing. If you guys said you have to answer the question, just like you made me pick a setter, which sucked.
Yeah.
That hurt me, dude. That hurt me. I'm going Beijing because I woke up that morning. And you guys have to remember, I'd announced every win Carrie and Misty ever had if it was anywhere near America. Mm-hmm. I just didn't announce their ones overseas.
Right.
So they were the team,
Yeah.
and I knew every stat they had.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, they had not lost a match in over a year. Think about that. Think about 107 in a row, whatever it was. Never losing, and that's going back and forth. The last time they had lost was July 3rd or something, or July 7th in Beijing, China, to the Chinese team in the rain. And I wake up on August 20th, 2008, and it had been nothing but sunny skies for 20 days. And I open the blinds and it's pitch black and it's raining. And they're playing China.
Wow.
And I kind of like freaked out a little bit, like,
I would.
this can't be real.
Groundhog's Day.
I'm telling you guys the truth. I watched those two warm up, and I said, they're not losing. Raining, they had a look that only
Yeah.
the best ever could look like. And they went out there and they were machines, and they just sided out and scored. And they scored when you got the chance, and they win game 1, and they go to game 2, and they're doing the same thing. And I forget her name, but she played on the AVP a couple times. Tian Jia, I think. She always would fake an injury and lay it down and get the medical timeout. And here we are. It's like 4 points away from the gold medal, and she lays it down. And Carrie and Misty didn't panic. They didn't do anything. They just walked over. They're so used to it, they knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And they walked over to their side and they sat down. She laid there, and it was raging. And the place was still it was packed, 20,000 people. Everyone with the rain stuff on. And dude, I had a shirt. I had the I Love China shirt. It was like a Boyz medium I Love China shirt that I would roll out there. And I knew some words like Jayo. It meant like so I knew my Zhangado, like let's go. Like I knew what to say for 20 days, so they knew me. They loved me. I was having a great time. Dude, I went out there. It was a freaking monsoon out there, dude. And I raged on center court while she laid there. And Misty
Mandarin?
And Misty and Carrie loved every second of it. No, I was screaming in English, everything I could. I had people chanting in Chinese. Dude, I did the worm full court. So my thing was the worm full court was what I kind of, I would worm full court back in the day. Now I'm a little older. I laid it down and I went and I stood up. This is a true story. And I started just like it was like Casey Jennings and a few Carrie's camp and some people up here that I knew all the players, Jake, Rosie, and I just was like kind of dancing to them. Dude, I was driving the bus. I used to do the bus driver. I'm like, we're heading back to Cali, boys. I'm literally just talking to them. What I didn't know was that the Today Show people were all right there.
No way.
Meredith Vieira, Al Roker, Ann Curry, Matt Lauer, their producers, they were all there. And Vince Vaughn was in. I didn't know that either. Story's going to go on. We're raging, having a great time. Carrie and Misty come out. They win. And it's one of the great moments of all time. The next day, Phil and Todd win. Okay? And I got a call. And they said, I got a call that morning, and they were like, can you come on the Today Show? We were there, we watched you. Can you come on the Today Show and announce Todd and Phil onto the set? So last night of the Today Show, we had to film it at night, so it was live here. And I'm like, I brought one trim outfit, dude. I brought the pants, the shirt. I'm like, yes, I'll be there. Okay? Let me rewind. Carrie and Misty win. We go out and rage. I don't know I'm going on the Today Show.
Yeah,
we go to the party, we rage. True story, we're at this unbelievable club. And I'm like, in's walking Vince Vaughn this way. And he sees me, and I look at him, and he goes, driving back to Cali, love it. Kept walking. I thought we were going to be best friends. We weren't.
That's my boyfriend.
I literally saw him outside of Izakaya 10 years later and told him that story, and he pretended to remember. He didn't. So I go, Phil and Todd win. They beat Bruno.
Alison, I think.
Yeah, Alison, thank you. And they win that match. And it's so funny, dude. The Olympics end. And it's like the ceremony goes, and there's no one left in the arena, like except their family. 20,000 people are gone. It's hot as hell this day. No more rain, and they're walking by. And I had Millie, my oldest daughter, wasn't even 1 year old yet. I think it just hit me, the emotion, and I was like, kind of like sobbing a little bit, like crying. Like I'd finally been to the Olympics. I'd been a part of it. It was my dream.
The best one for USA, I'd say too.
Ever, and it was for me like I'd never been there. It was my dream as an announcer to get there, and I did it. And they're walking off. My friends had all just won, and Todd Rogers, I still talk about it this day. He's like, "Are you crying? Like, why are you?" Yeah. They were just like totally like, "What's wrong with you?" So we always had a great moment about that. I showed up to the Today Show. It's the last one. They'd been there for 4 weeks. Last one. Women's soccer team just won gold. They're going to be there. I'm going to introduce Todd and Phil. Misty and Carrie were on it the other day. I'm there, and I'm sitting in like this trailer. Like this trailer, right? With food and stuff.
Not as nice as this.
Al Roker, not as nice as Al Roker walks in. Geeter! Love the worm! And I'm like, thanks, Al. Like, Captain Barney. I have no idea what to say. Al leaves. U.S. soccer team comes in. I know a few of them. Like Abby's on the team, a few other peeps. So that was kind of cool. You know, they always knew us. We knew them. So I'm a little more comfortable. True story, you guys. I get out there, and I've never been this nervous. And I'll never forget Todd and Phil standing next to me. And Todd's like, they're like, are you nervous? And I'm like, dude, I've never been this nervous in my life. I have no idea what's happening. I was a wreck. I was just like, and I had the whole thing, and I'm just like,
oh God.
All of a sudden, they walk out, and I have the IFB in my ear, and I could hear the producer, and he's like, all right, Geeter, you're on in 1 minute. And dude, I'm crapping my pants. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. Today's show, everyone's watching in America, everyone I know. And Meredith and them are like, well, we wanted you guys to feel comfortable, so we brought a friend. Take it away, Geeter. And all of a sudden I step out, and there's a light on me, and I'm live at the Today Show outside with I don't know how many people. TV cameras everywhere, and Al Roker's over there. And dude, I go into full character. And I go into the full AVP style 2 minutes. I don't care about time. I give it the best I have. The professor, the sensei, Todd Rogers. I give Phil, the day you dropped out of the womb 27 years ago, the doctor looked at the nurse nurse looked at the doctor, and they said, in 27 years, you're going to see the greatest volleyball player that ever lived, the Beijing Beast. I mean, I'm going off. And all of a sudden I finish, and I go, this is for you, Al. And I literally throw the mic at him, and I just start doing the worm in like a beautiful outfit. And I get up, and Al's dying, and everyone's dying. I grab the mic. Back to you, Meredith. No idea what I'm
Blacked out.
Back to you. Dude, full Will Ferrell. Full Will
Ferrell. Very comfortable here.
Totally. Full Will Ferrell move in Old School. And Meredith, this was when I realized volleyball. Like, I'm like, dude, we suck, dude. I was so bummed. Meredith and Ann were like, oh my God, they're like the greatest. And those guys are like, dude, they see it every weekend. Yeah. They're like laughing, and they're like, are you gonna miss him or what? Like, do you know? And they're like, we're seeing him next weekend in Cincinnati. Yeah. They didn't even know that we were on NBC in a week in Cincinnati. They just thought the Olympics happened every 4 years. Yeah. That's when I got bummed on beach volleyball. Commercial comes, I'm like, dude, feeling it. I'm like sweating, everything's great. I'm about to leave, and they're like, hey, producers want to talk to you. And I like hop on this like little side mics during commercial. And they're like, can you stay the 3 hours? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, we want you to just do stuff. Dude, I was like, what? Dude, I was like,
do what?
Dude, I introduced the women's soccer team. They wanted me to do those intros for Al, Meredith, and Ann. Matt Lauer had already flown home, and I'm like, I'll do it, but you guys better get me bullet points. Give me all the shit on them, all the stuff on them. They're like, oh, Ann did the bobs. Dude, I memorized it. I did bullet points. In the last half hour of the Today Show, it starts on me. The big jib camera swings over, and I'm hearing 3, 2, 1, and I'm the guy you see, and I'm like, welcome to the last half hour of the Today Show. And I'm like, are you ready? I was like, and people are like, yeah! And I'm like, let's meet at, and dude, I did full intros, their college, everything for those 3. And at the end, I'm like on the like,
you had no idea standing you were doing that day. You woke up that morning thinking,
guys,
like,
this is no joke. Dude, I'm telling you guys, it's a true story. Like,
that is still legendary.
Dude, I came home, I'm like, oh, am I gonna get a job at the Today Show? I mean, I didn't, but like, in my mind, I was for sure getting a job at the Today Show.
Guys, back with the bags. We're going to New York.
So yeah, let's go.
The whole family's packed.
Yeah. So
anytime now, they're gonna call me anytime.
Because of that story, and Carrie and Misty, though, that has to be the pinnacle for me. That has to be the best.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out, Karch calling Carrie and Misty the GOATs. I remember Karch was emotional after they had won because he was doing TV, and I had my little like AVP camera that I was doing for like our website and stuff. And Karch, he's like, "That's the greatest team of all time, male or female."
Wow.
Do you agree? Cool. Do you agree?
Yeah. I don't know how you would ever
surpass. They were, huh?
Guys, they won. In 2004, what people don't realize is they won 89 straight matches, and they lost in the semi at Hermosa. I was emceeing. Jenny Johnson-Jordan and Annette Davis took them down, and Misty ran off the court. I'd never seen it before. She ran off and didn't really. She had something, and everyone was like concerned. You didn't see her. She came out in Athens 6 weeks later, 4 weeks later, whatever it was. She looked phenomenal, and she played out of her mind, and Carrie and Misty rolled. That's when Holly McPeak and Elaine Young got bronze, so that was a big moment for the AVP. But that meant they won 90 straight in 2004 and 112 straight in frickin' 2008.
Was it that?
Dude, they didn't lose until the Cincinnati final the next week. They lost to Nicole Brand and EY. They won. Dude, they didn't lose ever, guys. They never lost.
Wait, they won the Olympics and then lost Cincinnati?
They did lose Cincinnati.
Well,
so by the way, like you guys don't realize, like Carrie and Misty were so famous. Those guys were on every show you could think of. Ellen, Oprah. They met up there. She was doing Dancing with the Stars during between games. Like she would have to go train with that guy. She was going to be on the show, and they lost 16-14 or 17-50 in the third to Nicole and EY. And it was the first loss they had. That was probably August 30th. They first loss since July 7th, the year before.
How'd they handle that? Like, were they like fuming?
Yeah, they always handle a little different. Carrie's so, she's just so like, they're always classy. Misty was more like, I think, like, all right, I'm gonna go dance these stars. Yeah. Like, they were bummed. They never lost.
You don't want to lose. Yeah.
But when they lost, they handled it. But they just didn't lose much. I mean, guys, I've seen them down. I watched them down 14-12 in Santa Barbara to Holly and EY, where it was over and they found a way to win. Same thing against Elaine. I mean, I watched them lose too. I called their matches when they lost. It was like 7 to 9 times in 6 years. I didn't get to see it much. I mean,
I remember they were so good at being at like 11-11,
lost
and then disappeared.
Guys, you know what amazed me the most? They never lost a first, second, or third round game. So they would go into the semis.
Right.
Without losing.
Right.
They didn't lose to anyone.
Right.
In those when you should.
They didn't use the double elim.
They didn't lose.
Yeah.
They didn't lose those matches.
Yeah.
Like it was weird. Goats. And by the way, the women and people like, you think about like the goats of the game played then. Elaine Youngs, Nicole Brandt, Holly McPeak, Jenny Nett. Those guys have 40 more titles each. Those are the best players ever. And they would battle them, and they would beat them sometimes. But like those two were gnarly. They were gnarly.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we
That's
are.
great. Did you create, by the way, back to an earlier point, did you create the name Beijing Beast for Phil?
So what?
Was that you?
I have Beijing Beast.
You patent that?
No, but you know what's funny? I gave it to Marlo, and Marlo used it the whole time. And I thought, Chris, Big Cy, you never gave me credit in Beijing, buddy. Big Cy used it. So then Bob Costa started using it.
God.
Everyone used it. Yeah, I called him the Thin Beast first.
You're a thin beast.
You're the Thin Beast guy.
Yeah, I made up Thin Beast, and he didn't love it, but I didn't care. And then Beijing Beast. Son of Jarrell for Rosie.
Son of Jarrell. Oh, like
Superman. Professor. Well, actually,
He created the Professor.
Professor for Raji.
How do you like? When you make these nicknames,
The Big Nasty for Jake Gibb.
do you like come up with them on spot? Or you think?
Well, I don't know. It's
Or you
just
just
like,
get a few drinks
it
in
was
and
just
you're
like
like,
the
start
Golden
spitting.
God for Furby, Lamborghini by night, Lambo. Like those were all. Yeah, we just would come up with them. Like I just would. Like it was weird. Like Son of Jarrell was because Rosie played on a 4-man team and he was Superman, and all the other guys were Clark Kent, and they called that team Son of Jarrell. So I started calling him Son of Jarrell. The Big Nasty was because one day we used to do a show called Dig, Emmy nominated, never won it. We used to do a half-hour show, and we would just travel with the AV. We would travel with the AV, and we would go, let's go to Manoa Falls with Stein and Lee, and let's go do a barbecue with Lambo. Let's go to Sano. And I'll never forget, Jake Gibbs' first win was 04 Austin. It's weird that I remember this stuff. It makes no sense. You can't make any money off it, but it's the one thing. That's such a curse. 04 Austin, Adam Jewell, Jake Gibb win Austin. We go to Sano the next week. We're doing like some interviews. I have Brian Lewis, and Louis was a very entertaining, legendary player, and Louis like, love Jake Gibb. He's like, but you know what, man, to win out here, you got to be a little nasty. And it made me think. So the next time I introduced him, it was the Big Nasty, and everyone started calling him the Big Nasty. So that's how.
Till this day.
So that for years on the tour, I don't know if they still do. It was the Big Nasty. So that's how that came about.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Can you give one to someone that's on the tour?
I know.
Right
We gotta
now.
think of that, right? We should come up with some. We should come up with some nicknames.
T
Yeah.
Crabs. I know you're a big fan. T Crabs.
Love T Crabs. T Crabs is one of the great.
Krusty Krab.
He's one of the great kids.
Boiling crab.
You know that whole crew. So there's a crew, Hawaiian crew. Another debate we have between my crew is the best Hawaiian era, because my era goes from like, your pops is probably 6-7 years older than me, but like the Alan Allens of the world, down to like Lambo, Furby, Stein, Wayno.
Furby's from Hawaii. No.
I mean, sorry. I would say Lambo and Furby. Lambo, Lee LeGrand, Stein, But then look at that other group. It's like Micah. Micah, the McKibbins, the Crabs, that group.
Shoji.
Oh my God.
Shoji's, McLaughlin,
Dude, Eric,
Lawson.
It's gotta be now.
I mean, dude. That group to me.
They're gnarly too.
That group to me is the one.
They're gnarly too.
I
The
put that
move.
era. I think I gotta put that era.
Gotta be.
Right? Because you have indoor Olympics, you have beach stars, you have MVPs, you have all of it. I think you gotta go.
Isn't it crazy to think with all those Hawaiian players, and he's gonna hate me for this, all those crazy players, he's the only player in the history of the U.S. to win every single junior national championship.
No way.
Did you know that? 12s to 18s?
No way. You won 12s to 18s.
Yeah.
A title.
Every single one.
JOs. What? Dude, what I would do with that if I was the announcer and he was playing on, that is one of the great stats of all time. But it didn't.
Go.
So wait, you guys won together?
We won it his 18th year. Yeah, he came and won.
We won it.
Got it.
We won our
17.
17.
No one can ever
And then we
take an
won
18s away from you.
Yeah,
18s
18s.
End
is the
on the
one,
high
dude.
note.
You
High
end
note.
it.
Yeah, 18s is great.
I coached an 18 golds in New Orleans in '99. That's special because it's New Orleans. That was a big part.
New Orleans is amazing.
Yep.
And,
You don't forget where. So who was your 17s team? Outrigger?
No, the same team I played with 12
Same players.
through 17.
What?
Lukoa.
You never heard about this?
Dude, how do I not know this? Dude,
So-
you guys need to teach me.
All right,
My
Micah.
ego is not
Go.
large. I need to learn this.
Go on what?
Explain the main core, right?
Give
Because
me
it was
the
the main
core,
core.
position
And then
wise.
what kind of happened throughout the years? Recap it.
What's kind of odd because we didn't have many players. We only
Yeah.
had 8 of us.
They practice like a handful of times a year too.
Shut up.
Wait till you hear how they practice.
Wait, would you guys just get everyone would lose to them?
They were a year ahead.
They were,
of us.
he played up. He played 1 year up.
Okay, gotcha.
Started up
Yeah.
there.
So we
So you're the
played-
young guy on the team.
Yeah.
This is all time.
Yeah, so we practiced about 3 months a year. And
this is so
3 days
Hawaiian style. This is so.
We practiced 3 months a year and 3 days a week.
Yep.
For about an hour and a half. We didn't play live until the week before nationals. We would scrimmage. Usually we'd scrimmage UH.
The girls team.
Usually we'd scrimmage UH. And we'd
Who to coach?
my dad. My dad's the coach.
Such a legend, dude.
And we had a bunch of us, and then at 15s we had 4 of our 8 players or 4 of our 9 players leave. So then we had to rebuild, and I don't know how we did it, but
And you still won though.
yeah, we found
core.
guys.
And you rebuilt on the like you with your people there. Like people weren't flying over. It was
No,
all
no,
Hawaiians.
just people there. And actually, it's funny. We won opens one year with like 3 of our starters not being on varsity.
What? Those are the years I missed, dude. I wasn't around in those years, you know?
So,
That's the thing. It was
was-
probably, what, 2012, 11, 13?
Yeah, all the.
I was wrapped up in
all
the
those-
Laker world, dude.
Yeah,
I was out of the game.
Well, I mean, I've never talked about it because you don't want to be that guy talking about your high school
I do.
championship.
I
It's
do.
like,
I do. I want to talk about
what is that? Like
Show
high
the
school's
rings.
not
Dude, how many
much. but
JOS titles do you have?
7.
Dude, suck on that. Dude, you're Robert Horry. You're Big Shot Rob, dude. 7 titles. You have more than Jordan.
Yeah.
You have more than Jordan.
And then I
7
joined.
golds?
Yeah. I remember our first game we lost was to SCVC.
See, that's my club.
My 17th year was the first time we lost. Pool play.
Vincent Pizzuti.
Pizzuti.
Yeah.
God, those names are amazing.
And then I remember a ref blew a call really, really bad
Yeah.
and came up after us my 18th year in JOs and was like, I'm so sorry, like you were right. I got caught up in the moment and I didn't want to listen to I didn't want to change my mind, but I knew there was a touch, but I didn't.
Hate the panic.
And my dad was like, that's the first game at JOs this team has ever lost.
Bro.
And she started crying.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
She had it coming.
And he was like,
You know what? Soft community.
Boom!
my dad was like this, and she's like, no, well, because she said, you'll get him next time though. It's just one loss. And then my dad's like,
the worst
no,
thing you
that's the
could
first
say.
loss that they've ever had.
Actually, his first loss
At
since
this-
they were 11 years old, dude. Yeah, they lost.
And then
You actually jacked
we
the whole
actually
game up.
lost to HBC my 18. We beat
DJ
them once.
DeFalco, Josh Tuanigo.
Dude,
We beat
Blake
them once,
Markland.
and then we
is that
lost.
your team that beat? Were you part of this too?
No, so then I joined them to beat
you
them
beat DeFalco and Tuaniga's team.
for
Our
18.
18.
Yeah.
All right, really quick. So so what happened was
I called their high school games. That was the greatest high school
Yeah.
team I'd ever seen in the history of America.
So-
Yeah.
So what he's saying? So
That was 18s when we beat them.
Well, that's
so he played 2 years of 18.
That's like beating T Crabs in the solstice.
But then so it was crazy
Go for
because it's kind of a full circle moment for Mike. I'm sure you can. Well, I don't know if you thought about this much, but so HBC, that team, they were known to be really, really loud. They had Jordan Molina and libero for Lummis, like all the cool guys off the court, but on the court they could act like little demons. I'll just say that. So what happened was they played a year up because they were our age, right?
Yeah.
And they always want to face us, but we didn't really peak until our 17th year. But our 17th year is when we won the national championship. But they played up that entire year to play Kailua, and they said, you know what, we're gonna come and beat them. And they'd beaten them all year, but unfortunately they lost them in the quarterfinals.
You played in
And
the quarters?
They
jacked up and
they messed up their side.
gnarly when you get into that.
Yeah, we're like, you
Yeah.
guys lost.
That
like,
year in '99, we played Balboa Bay in the quarters.
And
It wasn't
you're
supposed to be.
just
We're
like,
1 and
what are
2,
you
but we
doing?
messed up in pool play, and then we
Oh,
played.
you
and
messed
they were so
up.
pissed
But
at us.
that's
They
the
were so
worst.
pissed at us.
We were like, you guys, and we were up really big, and then we just
Dude,
we
once you beat them, it was over.
road 2 we couldn't get out of. I
they
remember
lost.
we lost to
Wait.
them. Well, we beat them and then we lost to them.
Okay.
And I remember we won the first set like 25-15. Lost the second set that was close, and the third set we couldn't get her out of row 2 because it was the opposite, and I usually passed.
Yeah.
But I was stuck in the net, and I remember we lost that, and then they went on to lose. They didn't win that year
The
either.
spiral, the JT Hatch.
Yeah, they didn't win, and then I came back. Well, I wasn't gonna play. I was done because all my friends left, and then they called me. Balboa called me, and I said no.
When they gonna pay you?
I don't know if they're. I don't think they were gonna pay me. No.
Comes back to the whole pay.
Dude, I'm
I don't
here.
think, but
about all
that
I have a story
person
about
said
that.
that.
I was
about all that
when-
for
Well, that
I'm
person
about
said
all
that
that.
comment, but I don't.
Dude.
I don't think.
Six
No, they were not gonna pay me.
Okay.
They were not gonna pay me. But then you guys called, and Joe got his dad to call my dad.
Did you guys not know each other this time?
We
They
played
met.
together on USA
that's how you
Youth.
became
We were
homies.
roommates. And he's like, dude, come play with us. Your whole team's leaving. And I was like, I'm just going to hang
But
out.
when you guys were at UH, he was on the mainland.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Flip switch.
But I
We were always
joined them.
friends.
Yeah.
I joined them their 18th year to try and take down HBC.
And then
We did, yeah.
Oh yeah. The thing was, I just remember the first time I met you. I came out of the shower. I was like, dude.
What's up? You're like, dude.
That's not it.
Thanks for coming, bro. Thanks for coming.
Sometimes we have a. So the cool thing about that team is, we have guys from all over the country, like literally moving for the team. Texas, everywhere like that, flying from everywhere. So there'd be 15 of us, 14, 13, 14, in a townhouse. So we'd be sleeping all over.
Homies.
There'd be
all
like
of us,
9 of us
exactly.
in the townhouse.
9 of us,
And
but
your
at
pops
times got
ran
to
the
13.
show?
Yeah, my dad was a coach and director, and my mom coached, and she was the trainer and everything.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
trainer,
exactly, and
That's
so
really cool.
it was insane.
You
So
can't pass up.
you cannot.
Yeah.
No.
So Micah was sleeping on my bunk bed, on the top bunk, and I was sleeping in the bottom bunk. We had guys on the floor.
Dude, how good of a recruiter is your dad?
Good.
Good. The good thing is
Right?
a good
Right.
recruiter. The
Very
good.
good.
My dad gets stuff done.
But we had to work.
Dude, Pono
So we would
signed
wake
off
up
on
at
it.
6
I mean, Pop signed off
Because
on it.
they were like, we'll cover your airfare if you work.
Yeah.
So I remember we would wake up at 6 and coach beach, and then we would go to and what? Listen to this. So listen to this.
And then-
I come from literally 3 months a year because our best player was a football quarterback of our best.
Larry Tuileta.
Was
was
you
in
meant
your school?
yeah? So he was our best player by far. He won MVP of JO's I think 6 years.
I would say by 18th year you passed him up.
18 years he couldn't.
I mean, you were
hit anymore.
pretty good too.
Because his quarterback and volleyball threw out his shoulder. So he couldn't even hit anymore by his 18th year. That's why he couldn't throw. He couldn't do
Were
anything.
you running 6'2" back then? What were you doing?
We all just played we were just moving around. We only had 8
We're
of us.
doing it all.
Yeah.
Most amazing thing.
So then I go from 3 months maybe. We'd never played live. We would just pass free balls for like an hour and then leave.
So sick.
And then
There's
I go from that to these guys who train double days and coach, so 3 practices a day, no
Every day.
Sundays off. And I was like, teams are doing this?
You're like, what?
This is
No,
you guys
bro,
are,
you don't gotta.
you don't gotta do this. This is way too over the top. He's like military. You're up at 6 out of bed. I'm like, we're waking up at like 12, like rolling out of bed.
Nice, yeah.
We'll hit
Good
some,
for you, actually.
We'll
That's probably good
pepper
for
a
you.
little bit
Yeah,
and
pepper
then
a little bit
call
stretch.
it. Yeah. But these guys were going nuts, and I remember
Film
just being-
sessions.
Film and like
we had a book on. We had a literally
Scouting reports.
scouting
on
report
every
on every
team
single
at
team at
nationals.
nationals.
we
have a book.
and we had never watched. I'd never watched film
did that?
until I went
No,
to
my
him.
dad. My
Our-
dad, our
our
assistant
coaching
coach, sat
staff.
there for weeks finding YouTube footage or
That's what I
finding
do for my
footage.
daughter. I gotta meet Pops, dude.
He's special. Both of our dads, I feel like, are very like.
Well, his
Yeah.
dad,
But
like,
my-
I've known his mom and dad. I've known who they were forever. They one time. Your mom won a couple titles.
Yeah, she did.
Yes, she did, dude.
She did.
So I was like, they were like
Yeah.
legends. They don't know me probably, but like your parents, I need to meet because I need to see I need to talk about
they're
coaching your kids. It's not easy.
Intense household.
They're very,
Intense.
very, very intense household.
You're working. My kids would be like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? They would.
Dude,
I don't want to.
I was shocked. I was like, "What? We're practicing again
My kids are like,
on the same day?"
my kids are like, no, we're not. I'm hopping on the electric bike. I'm going to the beach.
I was like, "Dude, I'm surprised we're practicing again this week. We got a good session and we're good to go.
We're ready for that.
We're ready for
Remember the
nationals."
first? I remember the first time I had. He had.
I just can't believe you guys were that good. Sorry, go on.
Literally, the thing was. Remember the first time? I tell us all the time that I remember the first kind of time Micah practiced with us. All of a sudden, like we go back to serve receive. I think we told you this a bunch of times.
I don't remember.
And you were in left back and I was in middle back. We were just kind of getting it's our first serve ever.
Yeah.
And then they served a couple at Micah, served him high. Instead of setting it, Micah just used his chest.
Yeah,
He
he
started
passed
using
his
his chest.
chest.
Oh,
It didn't go to target. It didn't go to target this
But
time. I was like,
you're like,
what
this
is
guy's
going on?
special.
I was like,
Yes.
this guy's either special or
he's
different kind of
special.
special. Yeah, this kind of special here.
He's special
Yeah.
for sure.
and then the hitting lines all of a sudden just bounced from the roof. I'm like, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be
okay.
Well, what was funny was in our Kula practices, there was no talking. So we would go in there, and you wouldn't even water break. You don't say a word. There was no even like mine or four or highball.
Pops was the only one talking.
No one would say a word.
Like he was the only one talking.
By the
Coach.
end, he didn't talk.
Yeah.
After
Drill,
after
drill,
15s
yeah.
or 16s, it was pretty much like a silent meditation almost. I would feel like.
That's amazing.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but we were basically like, it was a meditative. We practiced in a meditative.
There's so many different ways you can win. Then.
Yeah.
That's
We
what's
didn't.
actually,
yeah.
If you really want to go to the root of it, that's one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah. We
Everyone
didn't,
thinks you gotta do this, but there's different ways to win.
totally.
Right?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Totally.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And chemistry.
You
can
guys
mean
and
different things.
us are night and day differences.
Yeah.
And chemistry.
Because we
can mean
never
different
shut
things.
up.
Yeah.
Chemistry can mean different things too. You can be a verbal communication, chemistry. Oh, they get along so well.
Yeah.
Or it can be just I know where my homie is. I
Yeah.
trust him. I don't have to say
Or we
anything.
don't like each other, but we push each other.
Yeah.
And like we get the
Silently.
best out of each other, but like we're not hanging
What is
out.
the dynamic of you three when you're playing in a grass tournament and it's in a big game or it's in a gnarly game or maybe you're down? What's the dynamic of you three?
Cruise control.
Yeah.
I would say that
We all see the game very similarly. I think that's the biggest thing is when we talk about things like we all know kind of like the system in a way and how we'll fix things and we have the same mindset of how we operate.
I would say each of our roles. I would say me personally. I would say I'll be the loudest in the court. Like I yell a lot more on indoor. It's between us very calm, kind of steady. You know what I'm saying? But you'll hear me the more. Joe's the glue that kind of brings it all together. Yeah. And then Mike is obviously the Terminator that just makes you know
he does the freakish thing.
Yeah. Well, puts most of the balls down. My job
Yeah.
is based. There's a lot of strategy that people don't
I
know
think
about.
I think what Gage is like, he brings a fire, as you can tell just in his personality. What Joe does well is that he's good at keeping us accountable. We're not good at we'll all keep each other accountable, but when it comes to it, Joe will be like, do this, stop messing around. Because we can get out of hand.
Yeah.
You can
let the guard down.
Yeah. And Joe will be like, check us.
So.
And then I kind of just give advice here and there about what I think we should be doing.
I think there's no sometimes I think we're all in timeouts. A lot of time we're all talking in big games. There's no I would say we always call him. He's coach. Don't get me wrong. Joe will always be coach.
That's just his demeanor.
So let me ask you this. You know who the opponent is coming up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. Who do other teams, now that you guys are known and you're going through these tournaments, do they want you? Do they want a piece?
Yes.
Is it about
yes and no?
Are you the team that everyone goes, that's the team, or is it just a huge community where they're no? Yeah.
It's a yes and no. People want us. It's kind of people also want it kind of for example, we had a tournament in Orange County.
The Huntington one?
Exactly, yeah. And people just want to come play us to kind of experience that. And I'm not trying to say it's I would say that we bring a different kind of life to the
and now I
grass
think
game.
virally people are seeing it, right? So when you go to Wisconsin or you go to these places, they probably want a piece.
Yeah. And then there's
that.
exactly. And then there's the other side of people just all right, we want to take these guys off the pedestal.
Are those players just people we would know or don't know? They're just coming out they're all over the place. Are they ex-college guys? What's?
They only play grass. They play
There's
every
these guys
weekend.
who just play grass and they'll beat a lot of guys that come out
Shoes,
from
no
California.
shoes.
We play
Shoes.
Everybody
That's how you know.
shoes?
No.
The top players.
The
Shoes.
top players,
Top
except
player,
for
I'm saying the best
Tomas.
team. Yeah.
Well, one of the guys. Very, very rarely. If you know a guy's real,
Or
they'll have
Crocs.
shoes on. One guy plays in Crocs. And
Then
he's
no,
smuggled.
no. This guy is All-American team.
No way.
Yes.
Grass All-American.
Crazy.
Gnarliest angles, huge.
Is it amazing for you guys who played you know everyone from the last however many years? You
Yeah,
played,
just jump
to
in
be
a new community.
who is this dude?
Yes, it's
where
so
did he
sick.
play?
That's the thing about alpaca. That's the thing about alpaca. It's
Totally, that's totally a thing.
Because you can just turn
It's like
around.
hoops going to a rec center and be like, dude, this guy's balling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to
exactly.
yeah.
Totally.
And what I think about, because once you get in the playoffs at alpaca, it's 64. Is it 64 or 32?
32 usually.
32
Single
teams.
limit at that point.
Single elimination at that point. And
15.
No.
Rally score.
No. New school. And the first
rally
first
score
one's a 28,
20.
and then it's best out of 3.
Yeah, so it's like a beach tournament now.
Yeah.
For okay.
And the thing is you see all these teams, and an insane amount. You just turn around just for a second, you just see incredible plays. And the thing is that for me personally, I just look and I'm like, there are some insane battles going on in the first 2-3 rounds of the playoffs that you don't even see. And sometimes you kind of see in playoffs who did that team lose to? What happened? Do
they have a
insane.
center court?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
next to
does
the
that
barn.
Really good one. Oh,
So
yeah.
when it comes down to semifinals, is everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah.
big, dude.
They
I
can't
went to
even
the
get
bathroom
in.
and I couldn't get
can't-
in.
That's awesome.
I was
They
like,
ha-
it
is
was
there
like
a
8
bar?
rows
Is there a lake
deep.
nearby, or is it all?
There is
there-
no, but
We're in a
nearby. But the
Are you
center,
on a huge field?
Yeah.
huge. You never see anything like it.
it's on a ranch.
I'm
and
picturing Motherlode because it was we had a football field and we had the sand courts. I can't even picture how big that
3,000.
what they put there's almost 3,000 teams, and
You never see anything like
and then
it.
they put center court in front of a barn. And
Will
then-
you guys be
and-
doing a lot of video from there this time?
Yeah.
We do it every year. We have a volley every year.
Yeah. We'll have to send.
Center court is legit.
We'll sing the vlog from last year.
They had
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
Star
wanna see
Spangled
it.
Banner with the big flag with like 20
all
people
in.
holding it.
This
That had
is
fireworks.
We got like
Fire.
fireworks before.
And now we're going. You and your boy. What's his name that comes on your videos?
Jake?
Eli Jake.
Yeah.
What does he look like?
He was just on your
Small.
video. Lua. Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
were talking about you're going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Is that new?
Yeah.
We're hosting with Gen Z, a company over there.
7 Gen.
So
Seven
that's
Gen.
fun.
Damn it! Every
That's
time.
fun for you.
Yeah.
Super
Obviously.
fun for me.
We're hosting a party too. It's gonna be lit.
Yeah.
Geeter.
In Lonnie.
Dude, hold on. Like,
Have you been to Hawaii? Have you been to
I
Hawaii
mean-
Geeter way? You know
I
what I'm
mean-
saying? Have you raged?
I've had some, yes, many times. I've had some of my great MC moments in Hawaii. We used to do King of the Beaches over there.
Yeah.
We were doing that for a couple years back when you were a kid, man. 04, 05-ish, 06.
I get
We're
it.
going to Hawaii.
Question. You
Yeah.
don't have to answer this.
Yes,
but
I'll go
do
to
you,
Hawaii with you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You can go to Hawaii,
Yeah, yeah,
but in terms of MC, do you try? Are you like for the most part? You're like, okay, I'm gonna stay sober, or is it sometimes like, you know,
That's
I'm
so
gonna
good.
loosen up right now?
Such a great question. Early Geeter.
Early
97, 2000, whatever. He liked to rage a little bit more, and but then it started to be a little more of like the voice and not losing it. And it wasn't as
Oh,
like
that's
I was
true.
doing more TV, so it was more rage when the tournament ended. My early years, I mean, dude, I was your guys' age with my
Yeah.
boys all on
That's
tour.
crazy.
That's so sick.
I mean, it was like one of your boys was the MC.
yeah, that's
Jake
crazy.
Myers a little.
Like, dude, yeah, like what if Jake Myers was the MC and you would
Yeah.
just be out? You know, I'd be in leisure suits. I would just be whatever.
crazy, yeah.
And then it changed once I started to like move
Right.
up a little bit, and it became a little more TV job, and I was doing a little bit of both. So I stopped kind of, I was still having a couple pops, but now I love to like, it was awesome was, I want to say last year, if they do it this year, last year was my 19th straight year at least doing some tournament. Because once I retired from the AVP, Leonard Amato had the World Series of Beach Volleyball as an FIVB event, so I did 4 more years. So I was up to about 18, 19 years, and then the McKibbins had me do their 4-man last year in Texas.
Yes, I heard.
And that
looks
was
sick.
really cool, dude. Like, they paid me to come out, and it was really cool how they treated me and got me out there. And I love those style of announcing now. Like, I don't know if I could go do 4 days,
Yeah.
but you give me 1 day,
Yeah.
you give me one turn, like the best games. I know I still got it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we.
I still and that's what I love now. And it's not
Yeah.
screaming anymore. Like I
Yeah.
have my moments, but now it's more about I just love, and that's what it's about with the solstice for me. That's the thing about the solstice. I'm the MC of the solstice
Yeah.
in the finals. So for me to be in the final, they were freaked out.
Yeah.
So I MC the solstice and I MC Labor Day, and that's my deal. And I'll step up in the semis and just start going. And it's more just now. It's just the same thing with McKibbins. It was more just fun, like dialogue and all the homies, Casey Patterson's guys that I used to announce and stuff. So I think it was fun for them and it was fun for me. And so I love to do those kind of things now. I'd come out for a tournament. I just still like to do it if it's a fun atmosphere.
We gotta get him out to Wisconsin one
You
day.
know what I mean? If it's a fun atmosphere, dude.
Well, that's what I think is so special about volleyball, and you're in. It's really cool that you have a perspective on 2 communities, 2 athletic communities, that you can kind of like use your perspective on one to look at the other. But I think volleyball is so special because of the, like a 6-man.
Yeah.
Or like we're not
Yeah.
gonna be the most special in an Olympic sport, but like we get people dressing up, and then you get the 4-man, and then you get a grass, and then like the tournaments. Like you don't see baseball tournaments or
think about
basketball.
the grass world that you're now in. Think about Fuddruckers in Florida for the beach.
Yeah.
Or
We
gotta get to that.
Seaside, Oregon. Or the
Exactly.
6-man. Everyone has their thing, and it's all based
Exactly.
around volley. 4-man, 3-man, 6-man. Like, that's cool.
Exactly. There's
That's
so many
cool.
different styles and so much
Yeah.
fun around. There's just not like basketball tournaments that are known all across that where people are dressing up in costumes. Or
You know how I even started announcing? The first time I ever picked up a microphone was 1995, Cabo. Cabo used to have a 6-man tournament.
No
You'd have-
way.
you'd have one female, the rest male, and it would always be on Easter weekend when there was no AVP, and everybody would go, every AVP guy, and we'd all go. And I started going right after college, and I'll never forget losing in like the quarters of the semis, and I went out to swim, and all of a sudden all my boys were like, "Get in here," and they're like, "Dude, they need an announcer, announce the final." I didn't know how to announce, and all my boys were in the final, playing against each other, and my team had just lost, and I'm like, okay. And I just went. They started feeding me cocktails, and I was up on like the forget what it was, whatever hotel that was right by the office, and I was perched up, and the Macarena was new. So I had learned it that week. So I was doing that. I was doing all my different voices. I was in Marv Albert, all kind, and that's when I first emceed my first ever tournament. Fast forward 3 years. So then the next year I did it. Then I'm doing small little tournaments. Fast forward to 1997, 98, when all of a sudden, like Jim Marico, who was an announcer, Sam Lagana was an announcer, their wives were pregnant, ownership was changing, the AVP was going bankrupt. John Stevenson, who has now passed away, was a legendary AVP guy, and he was good friends with Mike Dodd, who's obviously, friends with all you guys. And Johnny the Steve was now running the AVP, and it was interesting because all my boys were like, oh, you got to get Geeter. And he was like, is that the guy that was in Cabo? He was there. He goes, I love that guy, bring him in. And I went in and I met him, and Steve and Jim Marico was there. Jim Marico, the announcer, was there. Jim was there, and we talked. And I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing. And Jim and I walked downstairs, took the elevator down by our cars. Jim and I spent an hour together. And he's like, dude, I'll teach you what I know, and come on out. And I went for free. And first event was Tucson, Arizona. True story. I was about to introduce Ken Steffes, Adam Johnson, and Karch Garai were playing together, and I forget who Kent was playing with. And Jim gave me, he goes, dude, do an intro. And dude, I threw the mic back out of my panic. Threw the mic back. Didn't know how to do an intro.
Yeah.
And then as the tournament went on, I started doing the worm. I was out there announcing, and like that year, those guys gave me 8 tournaments by myself. Oh. And my first ever tournament by myself was in a mall at San Antonio, and Emmanuel Rego won the tournament. Oh, the famous Brazilian dude. It was outside in a parking lot in a mall in San Antonio, 125 degrees it felt like, and they won the finals. And that was my first ever alone tournament. And by the next year, ownership changed again. I was the guy. But the first time I ever announced was a tournament, a Cabo 6-man.
That led to
that's
that
what
one
I mean.
day,
Like,
and your friends telling you to.
So it's all
led
like
to your
there's
whole
so
career.
many little,
Totally.
right? Like
The
tournaments
smallest
around
things.
that have their
That's
own
so
culture.
cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny.
Here we are. Well,
Here we are.
We're
Thanks, guys.
We're literally, we could go on
Overtime.
forever.
Yeah.
We could go on forever, but our camera's dying right here. Geeter.
Hey, I just want to say this. I love what you guys do. That's why when you and I started texting, like, you guys are awesome. Like, I feel like you guys are thriving and bringing the game to a whole new thing. I think it's the coolest thing ever. So that's why I wanted to come on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Man,
and we
anytime.
appreciate the drink. The
drink's
drinks
good.
are spot on.
The mules
Fire.
Set everything up.
And if you
Very
guys
well.
ever need anything, I'm always there for you.
You're the man,
We
Geeter.
appreciate
All right.
it, man.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Wrap it up
Absolutely.
here. It's been another episode presented by Out of System.